this one. I'll just bring that up so I can see the comments much better. Okay, just a few seconds in. I'm a little early, so we'll see if anybody joins. Okay, we've got one person in so far. Don't mind you hear rustling. It's the cats. Okay. So. So. Got two people in here. Who all's in here right now? Anything in particular we want to discuss today, or? Just seeing if anybody's going to actually chat while we're in here today. Anyway, that's the air conditioner kicking on. So anyway, I guess we could discuss the Titan sub incident today. I was watching a video here on YouTube the other night, one of these legal channels, and apparently, even though, which, of course, I can't speak much to that because I'm not a legal expert. I don't do, legal stuff like that. But apparently, the liability waiver that everybody had to sign to go onto the Titan sub and dive to the Titanic with Ocean Gate is not going to stand up in a court of law. Apparently, from the way the real legal experts talked, Stockton Rush's admitted negligence and just disregard for regulations and safety and everything pretty much voids the entire waiver. He's on camera stating that, he used titanium and carbon fiber, which is not often, is never used in submersible dives. He's, the off-the-rack sporting goods store equipment that he bought, even the game controller, and the points at which and how it operated the sub went through Bluetooth, through multiple different wireless connections. And so it was very easy to lose maneuverability of that sub while you're underwater. Very easy to drop. That's why ROVs aren't wireless. That's why they will have a tether that ties them to the sub, because it's very difficult to keep a wireless signal when you're that far underwater. And now Rush can meet his ancestor, and his ancestor can smack him in the head. I don't know if... I mean, obviously he's going to have ancestors that are passed on, but I think it was actually his wife that had family that was on the Titanic, not him specifically. But yeah, I said the filming of everything, the news interviews he did in 2018 and building up to the Titanic dives, where he admits to what kind of corners he cut, and with all of the other people that were involved who have come forward and said that they were either fired or they left because of his negligence. Oh yeah, I get what you're trying to say. Yeah, his people. I'm sure the ones that went down with him are not going to be very happy on the other side when they get there. What he did to them. But I've said before that there's no way I could dive as much as I love the Titanic and everything. There's no way I could dive. I'm gonna shut that off. That's a little chilly, actually. There is no way I could dive the Titanic myself. Just, my anxiety would not let me. That being said, hearing some other people who have gone down on the Titan and what they experienced, it would be even worse. Because they talk about how, as they go down, you can hear what some of them described as almost like gunshots every few minutes or so of the carbon fiber just getting crushed under that pressure. Because, carbon fiber is used a lot in like airplanes, but with airplanes, it's pressurized from the inside, so it goes under tension and holds stronger. You don't get it from the outside getting under compression. Carbon fiber can't handle that kind of stress and everything. And so, yeah, it's just... That's it. I know there's a guy down in Florida, works for some yacht company, that apparently has one of OceanGate's other, I guess, retired subs that they... or something. It's an OceanGate sub. And I guess he's been trying to sell it, but he can't. Nobody wants to buy it because of OceanGate. And he's afraid he's going to get stuck with it. And I actually emailed him. I actually emailed the company and everything. I'm just like, I'm not making an offer or nothing. By no means, I'm not trying to make an offer to buy it. But, I was wanting to know when the sub, I was wanting to know more about the sub in general, when it was made, what they used it for, because the sub that they were showing in the pictures, I had never seen before. It was not one of the, it was not definitely not the Titan, obviously, but it was not like one of the, I think it was the Cyclops, I think was the other two subs they used most often. So I was really wanting to know more about the sub, but I did end up telling them, though, that if all else fails and they can't sell it, then I would be, Titanic Truths, you'd be willing to take it as a donation for our museum with the attraction. We could create a little memorial for them. Yeah, see her in VR and be on. Oh yeah, the new 3D VR scans of the wreck that they just came out with earlier this year are, when I get the attraction open, which I heard back from the city yesterday, and I've just sent them off another email today about it. But when I can get the attraction open, there's going to be a VR room inside of it for guests to use, so they have something fun to do while they're on board, and they're not just stuck in their room. There's stuff to do. Titanic's Honor and Glory game, if they ever actually come out with the full game, not just demos, I'm gonna feature that one. I want to feature the VR 3D scans of the wreck, and who knows what else, many other things. Because like I said, in the attraction, there is, I said, for first class, both authentic and standard accommodations, you've got the Turkish baths, the swimming pools, the gym, most of the normal, original first class, you know, things that you could do while you were on board. But for second and third class, especially in the standard, in the other accommodations, there really wasn't much, because on the attraction, it's still going to be done by class. If you have a third class ticket, then you're not going to be allowed in certain areas of the ship, as it would have been. So I had to create new things for different classes. And so there is now another spa for second and third class. There's the VR room, as I was describing. There is a mini golf, an indoor mini golf section. There's a bowling alley. There's actually even a theater. It takes up 2 stories of between G and F deck. But there is actually a theater inside of the thing. And that one was the trickiest one to fit in. But I've also added in a second and third class chapel, little, for Sunday service, where first class will have their Sunday service in the D-deck dining saloon, as it would have been on Titanic. Then, we'll have you'll have another one for the other classes. But, then, of course, the D-deck dining saloon is, will there be crew members that act out their roles? Yes and no. Like, the staff will be, the everyday staff, they'll have period clothing and attire and uniforms to go with the theme of the attraction. But there's not really going to be, like, actors portraying Captain Smith or Thomas Andrews or Ismay or any of them, except for maybe during special events like, say, Anniversary Week in April, or during the Discovery Week in September, or maybe for maybe for special holiday events, something like that. But there's not really going to be major actors walking around every single day pretending to be part of it. I said, if you've been to the Branson or Pigeon Forge Titanic, it's kind of like that, but just much bigger. Instead of a half scale, half ship, you get a full scale, almost full ship, from G deck up, at least, from about the water line up. But yeah, I said, all of the crew, all of the employees will have period appropriate attire for their uniforms. Maids, busboys, stewards, whatever. We'll have all of that. But there's not really going to be major actors there all the time. During special events, once in a while, maybe. But no, as I was saying, though, this project took a lot of work to get it feasible, to get it safe, to get it proper and ready for the real world. I've been working on this for a little over 5 years, I think, now. About 6 years, maybe. And it actually goes back and that's just this specific style. It actually goes back further than that with Project Edwardian. where, you know, originally it started off as a real ship that would actually sail on the ocean, but things happened and it kept getting scaled back and then scaled back and scaled back, and eventually we land. Well, you know, me and the fans, everybody who had their input, landed where the project's at now. And I said I just sent off another email to the city. They said that the city themselves doesn't actually work. Like the mayor's office, the city officials, they don't really work with hotels and tourism chains when they're trying to come into the city. That there's other areas, and so I'm like, I would love to set up a face-to-face with the tourism board, with whoever I need to set up a face-to-face with. I would love to discuss this, and I told them, regardless of what what their word is, I'm moving forward with this. I'm doing this. Regardless, I am not giving up on this at all. The only thing that will stop me is if I pass away and there's nobody left to take it over and continue on. I've got the tickets. I've got a website design program on here, and I've designed a nice small little starter website, but I still need to figure out how to get about $2,000 to secure the domain that I have in mind and everything. And that's where I'm stuck at right now, is I need to sell the tickets to get the money to secure the domain, but I need to secure the domain so I can make the website so I can sell the tickets. I'm stuck and everything. But like I said, I am not giving up on this at all. So as I've put on my Facebook, there's two major pieces of land here where I'm looking. The first one is south of town, a prime location, very great location. It's right off of Highway 63 and not far from Interstate 70. It's right off of one of the biggest major 63 exits in Columbia here, the AC exit, which leads down to Grindstone, which has shopping, food, restaurants, all kinds of stuff. Columbia itself has other festivals like the Root and Blues Barbecue Festival, the True False Film Festival. There's the Mizzou Tigers with their sporting events every year, part of the SEC college football. Huge thing going on here in Columbia every season when football season's in. Homecoming weekend alone sells out every single hotel room for at least 50 miles. So this attraction adds almost 1,500 additional beds for that. So I would say advertise it, but that's too early. It's too early for that. Well, that's what I'm kind of hoping to do with the ticket sales. If all of the tickets that I have, which I have the paperwork down here as well, if all of the tickets I have can sell, or at least a huge chunk of them, there is, from what I'm looking at, is about $2.5 million that can be raised just from these all access pass tickets, which can go to buying the land, which can go to buying billboards, creating commercials, creating an official website where we can start selling normal admission tickets, everyday admission tickets, you know, and everything. And then those normal admission tickets, which you can, these all access pass ones are 5-day tickets. These are for a 5-day stay. And but the normal admission tickets, you can purchase a ticket for a single day or a full week, a full month, whatever you want, in any class you want. It's completely up to you on the normal admission tickets. And a full year, solid booked full year, would generate right about $146 million gross. So about 2 to 3 years of ticket sales, and considering it's to get the word out really good, it's going to be very popular at the at the very beginning of its life. So you're going to be booked up a lot. That money could go to building the facility, building the ship, building the pier entrance, all of that. So, I would love investors, and if any investors see this after it's done and after it's, after the live has ended or something, and want to reach out to me and want to know more about what the attraction is specifically, I'm open. I've applied to actually take it onto Shark Tank, but I've not heard back from any of those producers yet, if I ever even do. But yeah, this is, I said, I am not stopping until it's either built and open or I'm worm food and I'm gone. I said, I know I've had people on my Facebook, discussing things, kind of raising little doubts of, what happens if this happens or that happens, or you can't do that or you can't do this. I'm going to keep going. Regardless of what it is, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to, I'm not stopping, plain and simple. I said the main piece of land that I'm looking at, south of town, about 18 acres, used to be an actual mobile home trailer park. So it's got all of the utility lines run out to it already. You just got to clear the land and, do all that. And if I could get that land, then my mobile home here that I have right now, that I hope don't have for much longer, hopefully. Hopefully this project leads to a better life for me as well. But I'm going to move this trailer out there to that land so I can be on the land working it every single day. I said there's another piece of land to the north side of I-70, still off 63, right off the Vanderver exit, which is another big exit here in Columbia. And it's about 24 acres, but it's never really been developed. So I doubt there's any utilities out. It would need a lot more work. That's why I'm looking at the smaller piece of land. Which, given how much land costs around here, the 18 acres should be $100,000, $150,000, if that. Maybe. Land's pretty cheap here, actually. But yeah, I think it would be pretty cool, though, to be driving down the highway and you look out the distance and you just see the funnels and the masts and the upper decks of the Titanic just out there, up ahead of you, and you're coming up to it. That visual alone will drive people to the attraction when they're in this area. When they just see the Titanic there beside the highway and everything. And I said the The attraction is 8 stories, but one of them's underground, so it's really about a 7-story building and everything. And so when you get up to the upper deck, what would be the boat deck, you get a great view out across town. You can see for miles and everything. And so, you got all that. And of course, you can see. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a sight. I said the biggest comparable building in Columbia is the University of Missouri Hospital, which is again 7 stories tall with an 8th story underground, just like the attraction would be. And up on that 7th floor, the very top of that hospital, the view out across the city of Columbia it's pretty cool. I said I was born in that hospital. I pretty much grew up in that hospital. I used to do the Children's Miracle Network telethons every year with Don Wells from Gilligan's Island there at that hospital back in the 90s. And so, yeah, I know that place very well. And to have another building of that comparable size here in Columbia, I mean, we've got a lot of buildings that are, sizable, that are 6, 7, 8 stories tall, but none of them as big as the University Hospital. And Titanic would end up being the closest one to that in length and width. But the university is still much bigger, though. Huge. The University Hospital complex is massive, actually. But yeah, I said, the pier entrance is going to be the fun one, because I said on one half of it, the first floor, the entire half of that building is just a parking garage for employees and tenants who will live in one of the 7 permanent apartments that are on the 2nd floor, right above the parking garage, which those are not open to the public. Those are for very special people, very limited, family, management employees, perhaps, who want to stay on site as much as possible. Those apartments aren't really going to be open to the public for renting. But yeah, there are 5 2-bedroom apartments and 2 4-bedroom apartments up there. And then you have a group of storage units that you can keep your extra, each apartment can use for storage. Then there is a private promenade. If you ever, look at the outside of the pier, the end of the pier from the outside, you have the garage door down there on the base, and then there's always that little line of windows up top. Well, that garage door is what'll go into the parking garage on one side, and the garage door on the other side goes into a loading bay for semis bringing in stuff for like the gift shop or stuff for the ship itself, bringing in supplies. There's a loading dock that they'll be able to back in, and it'll go down a hill a little bit into the ground so that it lines up right. But then the windows up at the top on the front of the building, that's actually going to be a private promenade for whoever's living in the apartments up above the 2nd floor. Because as I've said on Facebook, visitors, passengers, and guests to the attraction, they're only going to experience about half of the actual pier entrance themselves. There's actually a lot more to that entrance area that they'll never get to see. Offices, conference rooms, warehouse, supplies, for, all of that. The guest, which I have the video on my TikTok, which you can go follow the TikTok, because if I can get to 1,000 over there, I can go live on TikTok. But I have a walkthrough video on TikTok where you'll enter into the check-in area, which is a huge two-story level room where with a line of counters. There will be different slots depending on which class you want to check out. First class, second class, third class, all of that. And you'll get your ticket. You go over there, you'll buy your ticket, get your ticket, all of that. Then you go off to the side, and there's a hallway. You go down the hallway, and it turns at the end, and you'll go, and you'll find 2 sets of stairs and 4 elevators. I don't have it drawn up here on my laptop to go through it, but 4 elevators. And there will actually be a really large fish tank at the end of that hallway, too, that goes across the entire front of the stairs, the elevators, all of that. If you go past the fish tank and down, the hallway will turn again, and you'll end up in what will end up being the gift shop, which is another very large room where, of course, gift shops. But the fish tank itself is going to be really huge, and it's going to have a model of the Titanic wreck in it, a really large model, bow and stern separate at each end of the tank. I actually have a friend of mine on Facebook that I chat with, lives out in the New York area, that he owns a custom fish tank company that builds fish tanks. And he's already said that this attraction comes to life. He wants to be able to build the fish tanks for this. He wants that job for his company. He wants to be able to do it. Because there's multiple fish tanks throughout the attraction, actually. Not just that one in the entrance pier. But anyway, if you take the stairs or the elevators, you can go up to the second floor of the entrance, and there is a viewing promenade for guests where you can come out, and just a whole row of windows where you can just look out and view the Titanic as she sits there in front of you. Okay? Then, as you go up to third floor, that's where the actual entrance is. It's one long hallway to both ends of the building. It takes you out to the walkway that runs along the outer lip of the roof, joins over to the walkway, goes and takes you onto the ship itself. Does that mean the Titan subwreck as well, or is that too sensitive? Or is that sensitive? No, I don't think I would include the Titan subwreck in any of the fish tanks, but I think there probably will be a little, piece towards them in the museum part, a little memorial piece. It's amazing how the game evolves during all this time. I have no clue. But yeah, because I said on one entrance for the first class, authentic and standard, as well as part of second class, well, pretty much all of second class authentic, will enter into the D deck area right off the grand staircase. Then I will have a second entrance for all of third class and second class standard that will enter off into the C deck area at the aft end of the ship where they would have entered. They're going to use the actual entrances to the ship that would have been used in 1912, which were D deck, There was one on B deck as well. There was also one on uh, C deck. There was even some of the lower decks had them directly from the ground. You know what Jack and Fabrizio run up and as they're starting to pull it back in the movie. Uh, so I'm not going to be using all of those entrances, but I will be using a good chunk of them. I'm trying to readjust my camera here. But yeah, I some of the staircases I've designed for the lower decks from from G, F, E deck, and then up to D deck, where there's cut in a little bit. I think some of those lower, like F deck, where it's like right at ground level, I think on those floors, I'm going to put some emergency exits at the outer hall off the staircases so that, in an emergency, they can be opened and there can be a gangway put. People can get off faster. Will there be sports? Which I guess will relax like a... Will there be spots? My dyslexia is... Will there be spots where guests can relax like a McDonald's? Yeah, somewhat. Sorry, somebody's... Yeah, you see the camera, don't you? Somebody's going nuts here. Anyway, go. I said the D-Deck Dining Saloon is going to be an actual restaurant. You don't even have to buy a ticket. You can come into the check-in area and there'll be a special slot for certain features that are available to the outside public in general, and which one of them is the D-Deck Dining Saloon, which is going to be as I said, a restaurant. You come in, you get a special pass just for that. You go up, follow the first class area, enter onto D-Deck, go in, and get your seat, sit down, and just enjoy it like a regular restaurant. You get your menu, you pick out what you want to eat, they make it, they bring it to you. When you're done, you pay your bill, just like a normal restaurant and everything. The Turkish baths are also going to be another one that are going to be open to the outside public, where you don't have to buy a ticket to come in and have like a spa day or something. It's gonna be like $75. Just come in and go to the Turkish baths and relax for a while. Sit in the sauna, get a massage, whatever. That's, let's see. I have no clue. But I said the main D-Deck Dining Saloon that everybody's familiar with, the iconic one from all of the movies, that's going to be first class and outside passenger restaurant. But on the other side of the kitchen on D-Deck is what was originally second class dining saloon, but that's going to end up being the second and third class dining saloon. I'm adding third class to that one. It's smaller and everything, but it's another dining saloon. So D-Deck is pretty much just dining area, and there's a few rooms at each end. You got a little bit of third class at the back and a little bit of second class up at the front. It was originally first class, but given all the design changes that had to take place to make this attraction workable and feasible, second class had to get moved to a different area. So the rooms themselves will be, built as they were supposed to be, but they're going to be restyled in what the second class of that period on Titanic would have been, instead of what first class at that period would have been. Even though second class on Titanic was very pretty much normal first class on other ships of that time, Titanic spared no expense whatsoever in her design. I mean, $7.5 million in 1912 to build that ship. You're looking at between 150 to 200 million dollars today just for the attraction. For a full ship, you're probably looking at 250 million for a full original 1912 replica. And if you wanted to, like Palmer was originally going to do, create a modern replica that could actually sail on the ocean, you're easily talking close to $1 billion, if not over. The standard average cruise ship today costs about $1 billion just to build them. So yeah. Let's see. What are the costs for each class? That one is a really good question. They're actually fairly reasonable. Standard accommodation, which is your everyday room for the everyday passengers, normal. They're styled in Edwardian, but they're a more modern room. They are $99 per person per day for third class, $149 per person per day for second, and $199 per person per day for first class. And those rooms come in 1, 2, 4, and 6 person rooms. So you can adjust, how you want. The authentic experience is $92 per person per day for third class, $401 per day per person for second class, $882 per person per day for first class, and $1,912 per person per day for a parlor suite. So again, you can, those first and second come in 1, 2, and 3 person rooms. The parlor suites are up to 4 people each. And then third class comes in 2 and 4 person rooms. So you can adjust that ticket price how you want, whether you want to stay 1 day or a full week, and how many people you're planning to bring, all of that. Now, in third class authentic experience, you will probably end up sharing a room with a stranger from time to time, just as you would have on the original Titanic. That's part of the authentic experience, First and second class in the parlor suite, you can book out an entire room and everything. But third class authentic is sold as individual tickets, and you get what you get. Now, if a group of people come in and they want to buy 4 third class tickets, then we would put them all 4 in the same room. You will get, if you buy enough for a full room, you can you can stay in a full room with your own family and friends. But individual tickets could end up sharing a room. So they even had to have the brand new and super expensive newest flooring, linoleum. Yeah, I got that sitting right here in my mobile home, and it's not that great. But hell, linoleum's cheap enough today. Keeping it authentic, that helps also reduce cost. You can get a linoleum floor printed in about any size with any design that you want. So flooring, it's going to be fairly easy. The carpet's going to be a little tricky from time to time, but I think we get to that stage of the project. Get the right experts on here to come into this project to make sure the visuals of the attraction are as perfect as can be. like Ken Marshall or Park Stevens or whoever, it would, you know, it'll do a lot. Said the grand staircase and the elevators, well, at least the forward 3 elevators, have all been fully extended to reach every single floor. Because, of course, the forward grand staircase only went to E deck, and the aft staircase only went down to, I think it was C deck, I believe. I don't have the plans drawn up right here to go through them as I'm doing, as I'm talking here. The elevators only went from A deck down to about E deck. It was about as far as they went. Because on the boat deck, right across the hall from the Marconi room, is where the elevator machinery room was at. It had all the winches and the electric machinery that allowed the elevators to go up and down. That's where that's at. So I've actually extended the elevators up into that room and created a new entrance. And then you can get, today, in modern times, with modern technology, you can get an elevator that has all of the mechanics inside the shaft with the elevator itself. So you don't have to have that huge machine room. I don't have to build a huge addition up on top of the boat deck to house machinery or anything. All of that can be put inside of the elevator shaft with the elevator itself. See, what about handicap accessibility aside from the public elevators? They didn't give a... Yeah, no, in 1912 they really didn't care about it. No, the main 3 elevators up at the forward grand staircase up off D-deck entrance, those will reach every single deck, so you can go anywhere you want with those. And the aft elevators that were in the second class entrance that go from boat deck down to, I believe it was C deck as well, those still run that same route. Those are going to run that same route right there and everything. So, it's not perfect, but, it's Titanic. There's certain parts of it are authentic. The authentic experience rooms, first, second, third class, those are not handicap accessible. And there will be a legal waiver that has to be signed stating that you are of physical and mental capacity to be able to handle that. Because, as I said, they're not handicap accessible in those rooms. Most of the rooms don't come with a private bathroom. And when you book an authentic experience room, all electronic devices like your cell phones, your laptops, your tablets, whatever. Now, of course, like cochlear implants, pacemakers, medical devices like that don't count. But personal entertainment electronic devices all have to be booked with the purser on C deck while you stay on board, just to make sure everything is as authentic as possible. There are also no children allowed in the authentic experience. Children are welcomed on the welcome to visit. There's stuff for the children to do, plenty of stuff, but not in the authentic experience. Just for safety of the guests as well as the ship and everything. That's just another thing. And now the one area where the attraction does differ from the actual Titanic at this point is no animals. Now service animals, of course, are exempt and are welcomed on board. I myself have had service animals. But pets are not a pet-free attraction. No matter what area of the ship you're trying to stay at, there is no pets in the attraction. But yeah, as for the handicap accessibility, as I said, you know, if you're, you know, you could take the forward 3 elevators anywhere on the ship you want. Everything, which, as I admit, you know, as it's going to have to be is, you know, if you're third class, trying to keep all of the best handicap accessible rooms, especially in the standard accommodation area, up near the elevators, up near the forward end of the ship. That way, people who are disabled don't have to go down the elevator all the way to E deck and then stroll almost 800 feet to the back of the ship just to find their room. The handicap rooms are going to be near the elevators. I know, I fully know, myself included. I would not be able, even though I am the one, creating this and doing all of this. I myself would not be able to stay in the authentic experience because I have physical disabilities that limit my mobility. I myself would not be able to stay. And it sucks. I know. I would love to see what the authentic rooms look like. And as we continue to go on, there may be additional exceptions to that rule that will open the authentic area up for more people as well. But you got to understand, the authentic experience rooms are built to original 1912 style. There's essentially no modern conveniences, which means they're not up to code or modern regulation at all. That is another reason for the waiver, is that you acknowledge these rooms are not up to modern standard building code or regulations, and because of that, things might happen. You could trip over something and get hurt or whatever, and the attraction is not liable for that. You have to watch out for what you are doing. And of course, the third class authentic is definitely no disabled people. That is probably one of the most inaccessible areas of the entire ship, unfortunately. But, if you're trying to produce an authentic experience, there are going to be some limitations for people, unfortunately. That's why the standard accommodation rooms, first, second, and third class, while they're not authentic, they are more handicap accessible, and they are all styled in some way in that Edwardian era style, so you still get the feel of the Titanic. You're not just walking into a standard hotel room. It's still going to be styled in that Edwardian era decor that will help let guests experience the Titanic for themselves, even if it's not a truly authentic experience. I've taken everything I can think of to make sure this is the best attraction possible. I said I've been working on this now for 5-6 years, and just this style of the attraction. When you take full Project Edwardian all the way back, it goes even further than that. Project Ed, Titanic Truths as a whole will be celebrating our 10-year anniversary as an LLC next month, which is absolutely amazing to me. I can't believe Titanic Truths has lasted 10 years already. And with the help of the fans, because this project has been fully fan-driven this entire time, fans have had their say in what features they wanted to experience, all of that. And the ticket sales are going to help create a fan-funded project as well. And just to know that I've actually gotten that far, it's amazing. And it wouldn't be nothing without all of you guys out there. The fans from here on YouTube, from Facebook, from TikTok, everybody who over the years has put their opinions in on this thing, good or bad. And trust me, there's been a lot of bad opinions. And honestly, I probably could have been a lot further by now, because about a year or so after I originally started Project Edwardian, I had an investor reach out to me wanting to invest $50,000 into the project. But he wanted to change it. He wanted to take over and do it all his way. And it killed me to do it, but I had to say no. As much as that $50,000 could have helped out with this project and we could be a lot further along by now, I couldn't let some other guy come in and just completely gut everything I had done and what the fans had done to do it his way. It wasn't, I couldn't do it. So, yeah, that one hurt a lot, having to turn down $50,000 and everything. Because he wanted, the dude that was trying to, he not only wanted to take over the project and do it his way, but he wanted to also to dictate how I spent that $50,000 on the project and where it was, gone to. So I used to be a fan of Titanic, but a certain Jack and Rose, yeah. I actually just watched the 1958 A Night to Remember earlier today, and if you've ever watched that one, you can really see a lot of the inspiration that Cameron took with his film. There's a lot of scenes between A Night to Remember and the 97 Titanic film that really mirror each other. It's really, it's a good movie. But yeah, they said they just, but yeah, I actually still need to fill out the last handful of second class authentic experience tickets for C deck. That's because second class authentic is spread between C and D deck on the Titanic. It actually takes up 2 decks in order to get it all in. It's the only one that does that. Everything else is all on a single deck. All of the first class experience is on B deck, including the parlor suites and everything. C and D deck have the second class, and then the aft end of D deck has third class. Very few rooms there, very few beds. There's only about 120 beds total. And then, of course, as you get lower into the standard accommodations, an entire deck is an entire class. You have G deck at the bottom is third, then F is second, and E is first class. And each deck has, at the aft end of the ship, some child care rooms for families who are on board. There are three main rooms each that are aged, from infants to toddlers to children and everything. And so if families want to go have a little spa day in the Turkish baths without their children, or just go see the ship without the children, or do whatever, and with a little peace and quiet, they can take the children down here to the playrooms at the back of the ship and drop them off with caregivers who will be in there to take care of them. And so, yeah, like I said, I have thought, I've spent so much time on this project. Nearly every aspect of this has been fully planned out. And of course, there's always going to be, areas that you don't foresee, you don't plan on. Something, little hiccups, little bugs are going to arise. And, you just got to take those as they come. There are always going to be some things you can't plan for right off the bat. So, I tried my best with the help of all the fans out there who have given me, advice on what it is they would like to see with this if they were able to visit the Titanic. Now, I haven't been able to fit it all in, obviously. Like, a lot of them wanted to have the boilers and the engines. They wanted to be able to see that 3-story engine for themselves. And that's just not possible in a physical way. And so that's why I, went back to the fans again, explained, that's not really feasible physically. How would a VR version of a virtual reality version of that be? And so fans agreed with the VR, and that's how the VR room came to be. The theater is also another one that was proposed by the fans themselves. I wanted more stuff for fans to do while on board the ship, and I couldn't figure anything out, so I went on Facebook, and I think I even went on TikTok, and what would you like to see on the Titanic? And I had several people talking about they would love to have a theater where they could watch Titanic on Titanic. And it took a lot of work to do it, but I did finally manage to squeeze in a theater into the attraction. So, hopefully, I don't know exactly what all would be played in that theater right now. Obviously, Titanic movies, James Cameron's Titanic, A Night to Remember, SOS Titanic, Titanic Blood and Steel, which I have up here. All the TV miniseries, you name it. There's so many things that could be played in there. And plus, you could play, and like I said, here in Columbia where I live, we have a thing called the True False Film Festival. So we could easily rent the attraction out with the theater for that as well. And movie makers that are in the area for that festival can premiere their movies at the Titanic as well. And that doesn't even count renting out the attraction. It's the entire attraction for filming. If somebody's filming a documentary on the Titanic or whatever, they can easily come in and rent out the Titanic to film on it. How would you make the 2000 Britannic movie? I would make a model. I think it's supposed to be in Italy, where Britannic sailed to port. I don't know. I think we're due. I think we could really use another Britannic movie. There's what, two that I know of, two main ones. Well, not really main. There's one main movie and a second German movie from way back in the 80s or 90s. I think it was the early 90s that featured Britannic, sort of, kind of, sort of. They, I forget the name of the German film. It was obviously in German, but they took the 55-foot raised the Titanic model that was in Malta, and they rebuilt the second funnel since it didn't have one, and they painted it up to look like a hospital ship. And in the movie, it's not really the Britannic, but given what model they used, a lot of people just consider it the Britannic. But yeah, the 2000s movie Britannic, that the CGI did not hold up very well after all these years. But I think we could definitely use another Britannic film. That she does not get as much love as she deserves. You know, Captain Bartlett trying to beach the ship on Kia as she's going down, and that just causes the water to rush in faster, speeding up her sinking. You know, it just, of course, you have the dynamic of wartime, hospital ships, sick people, you know, U-boats in the waters, laying mines, you know, a lot of tension, a lot of drama, you know. It could be a very dramatic film if it's done right. But that's the key point, is it has to be done right. You know, it's very easy to make these things cheesy and just garbage. But yeah, I do think another Britannic movie. I would also love to see another Lusitania movie. They do have one. I actually think it was a TV miniseries. I think. I haven't seen it for years. Can't even hardly find it now. But there is one on the Britannic Talk. You know, of course, and it follows the story of Avis Dolphin and the professor that she became friends with while on board. And it's a good movie and everything, but yeah, they really should do another Lusitania movie as well. I would really love to actually see a movie called All Reliable and just follow the Olympic through the war. Watch her run down U-boats, subs, you know, her collision with the Nantucket lightship. Could be a great opening scene for it. You know, you start off on a black screen, and you hear the foghorn, you just hear brrr, and you hear some bells chiming, everything, and then it fades in to a foggy mist, and you see the lights of the Nantucket, and you see other lights coming in behind it, and it's just the Olympic, and it just runs it right over. I think we're overdue for a Britannic World War One movie since her discovery. Oh yeah, the Britannic. Like I said, there's the three main ones I would really love to see a movie on are Britannic, Olympic, and Lusitania. Those are the ones I would really, really love to see. And, you know, especially the Olympics, the fact that we've never gotten a movie about her. We've essentially never had one. There's been documentaries about her and everything, but we've never had an actual movie about her. And like I said, that opening shot of her running over the Nantucket lightship and then drafted into the war, becoming unreliable, running down U-boats and submarines and everything, and the troops, all, you know, just, I think that would be a really good movie. You know, I just, yeah, those, I think those would be some really good movie ideas and everything. But, uh, but I've been live on here for over an hour and 10 minutes now, so I think I will go ahead and call it for this week. And I will be back next Tuesday again, live, probably around the 3 o'clock Central Time mark, if things work out the same way and everything. But, yeah, so, and as I've said, if you're watching this back after it's already ended and you want to know more about the attraction or, whatever, if you want to invest in the attraction, email me. If you want to join in for the next live next Tuesday, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube and follow Titanic Truths on TikTok as well. Because when we get to 1,000 followers over there, we can go live over there as well. But that channel's a lot newer than this one. This one's actually been here for a few years. So, but yep, I'm going to call it an evening. And Alex, I will see you next week. And hopefully each week we can get more and more people joining in this little live. And I said, and if there's anything people want to discuss, they're always welcome to leave it in the comments while we're live here on YouTube. But until then, I will see you all next week.